He is the founder of the American Union, a union of swing voters joining forces to demand a better social contract. They have a blueprint on their website, and it's very detailed. There are three basic ones: is to end poverty, end mass incarceration, and end the endless wars. Makes sense to me. So tell us about American Union, how you started it, especially, I guess, in the climate that we're in politically. Was it that part of the reason why you started it?
Oh, absolutely. I used to serve in the state legislature in New Hampshire, and realized that the system wasn't working for the average person, and you can see that in the polarization we have today, where people are all they're frustrated that they have to pick a team, Republican or Democrat, and a lot of people want a different choice. But third parties don't work. They're, because the system is set up in a way that Republicans and Democrats are going to win 99% of the time. So the American Union of Swing Voters is a different model. It flips things around, and rather than electing candidates with a party and then trusting them to write legislation after the fact, we have crowdsourced a specific legislative package that ends poverty, ends mass incarceration, and ends the endless wars. And the deal for Congress is if they put it on the president's desk before the election, they can all get our votes. Republicans, Democrats, we don't care. We just want them to solve some problems already. But if they refuse, we can vote for their opponents. And as swing voters, it just takes a small percentage to be the deciders to control the balance of power in Congress. That gives us leverage, and we can force them to act and do something and look out for the American people. So that's what the American Union is. And the Constitution sets out these 5 duties for us. So establish justice, that's ending mass incarceration, ensure domestic tranquility. The political parties just try and make us hate each other. They purposely try and get us riled up and angry at each other, and we can
Right.
refuse to play that game. Provide for the common defense. We have far exceeded the framers' mandate. Promoting the general welfare. Welfare means health, happiness, and prosperity. We didn't talk about it, but there's a public option for health insurance included in this legislation, as well as 18 weeks of paid family leave. And then securing the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. We do that by voting. Universal suffrage is included in the legislative package. And the pollution taxes are a way of protecting the environment so that our kids don't inherit this mess that we're making. So the Constitution tells us what we're supposed to be doing, and we've lost our way. We can get back to it, work together, and build a better America. Nobody's supposed to like everything in this legislative package. Everybody has to make some compromises, the same way the framers did when they wrote the Constitution.
Right.
Nobody liked everything in it, but knew something had to be done. And so they cobbled out, a compromise and a framework for government. We, the people, can come up with our own set of compromises that will solve our problems and create a framework for Americans to work together instead of butting heads through the two-party system. Flipping the model around and saying, look, this is exactly what we want. Get this done and get our votes. But we can't count on politicians to make promises and keep them. So we've got to change the model. We need a better way to work together and to leverage our power to come together as people who want to end poverty, people who want to reform the criminal justice system, people who want peace, to come together around these issues in one voting block that will change the political conversation in this country. That's
Yeah.
that's what we can do as a union of voters. The ending mass incarceration is really important, and we need broad reforms. We need to get back to what the Constitution says: establish justice. And we're failing to establish justice when 2 million of our countrymen wake up behind bars every day. So the police reforms include, as you said, reforming qualified immunity, so that people who've had their rights violated could get their day in court. We would end the program that allows military equipment to be donated to local police departments. Reforming cash bail, the prison reforms, reforming the practice of solitary confinement. The
Mm.
United Nations has said holding someone in solitary confinement for more than 15 days is a form of torture. And this is a practice that needs to be reformed.
Are those some of the other things that you look at in terms of you know utilizing the swing voters to get the not only the legislation you want, but in some cases like the justice that you want?
So Again, this is a legislative package with a specific set of demands. Again, expecting Congress to put it on the president's desk before the election in exchange for votes. And so there's about 50 different policies that are in it. There's an awful lot of criminal justice reform in it, a lot of police reforms, prison reforms, and prosecutorial reforms.
What specifically in this federal package that you have are you looking for Congress and the White House to do?
So this legislation would enact a universal basic income.
Yeah.
Every American citizen would get a regular amount of money, $1,300 a month for adults, plus $433 for kids. And that would be enough to lift every American up above the poverty line. Dr. King talked about a guaranteed annual income
Yeah.
at the end of his life because he recognized that the impact that poverty had, and that by transforming the poor into purchasers, they could have greater influence over their lives. In the 21st century, we can enact universal basic income, and it's paid for in a couple of different ways. There is a 12% value added tax that offsets a lot of this. There's also some taxes on pollution, specifically on carbon and on plastic. There is no reason why in America, in the richest country in the world, we should allow poverty to exist. It's a policy choice and it's wrong. And we can do better by working together with our votes. And
What's the plan in terms of the policy to make sure we don't have these endless wars?
and you hit on a number of really important things, like the fact that since September 11th, 2001, we've had more than 30,000 former service members commit suicide because they've been so traumatized by the things that we've been doing around the world. That more than 75 years after World War II, we still have tens of thousands of troops in Japan and Germany. Still have tens of thousands of troops in Korea.
Hmm.
We have hundreds of military bases all around the planet, and our policies have cost the lives of hundreds of thousands of innocent civilians. And so our legislative package does two things when it comes to ending endless wars. The first is reducing our global military footprint. So reducing the number of foreign bases that we have, repealing the authorizations for military force that were passed back in 2001 and 2002. But the idea that the things that we said 20 years ago are just a blank check for ongoing war, that needs to be addressed. There's mandatory cuts to the military budget, 10% a year for 4 consecutive years. And so that would bring us down to about 2005 spending levels where we were at the height of the Iraq War. The second part of ending the endless wars is changing some of our foreign policies that cause so much unnecessary suffering. That includes ending the use of economic sanctions against civilian populations. Cutting a whole country off economically is a thing that hurts the poorest, weakest members of society the most. And it's a collective punishment that is not who America should want to be. So to further improve our moral standing in the world, would also close down Guantanamo Bay military prison. It is the fact that we've had men incarcerated there for 2 decades without charging them with anything, really makes a mockery of what we believe we stand for as a nation founded in justice. And some of the other policies include prohibiting the purchase of landmines and the development of lethal autonomous weapons. Can give us a chance to be leaders in saying, look, we can find better ways to solve problems than escalating them. And last, reducing our nuclear stockpile by 50% over 5 years. And once again, those are the policies that address endless
Let
war.
me just, what is a swing voter?
That's a great question. And so we specifically define swing voter as someone who is willing to vote for either a Republican or a Democrat, because those are the candidates who win 99% of the time. People are frustrated and they don't vote. If people are frustrated and vote for a third party, those votes are spoilers. And so by being a union of swing voters willing to vote for Republicans or Democrats, we can be the deciders. And that's the part that gives us leverage over the political conversation and the political process.
And how does the funding work?
So we actually are a super PAC that people can make unlimited campaign contributions to grow the union of swing voters.
Okay.
But as a super PAC, none of that money goes to any candidates or to their campaigns. It just goes back into growing this block of voters that are trying to wield oversized influence on the political process.
Are you endorsing any um, politicians that really are engaged and really sort of a partner with what you guys are doing?
Endorsements won't be made until October.
Okay.
We're giving Congress, as many chances, excuse me, as they can to enact this legislation, and so we will continue to build public pressure over the next 6 months to to build support for getting this done before the election. But in the last critical weeks of the election, we'll make endorsements of either the incumbents or their major party challengers and throw our support behind them. And so here's the opportunity. The last critical weeks of an election are really important, right? As candidates worry about an October surprise. So here's an opportunity for them to get something done and get themselves reelected by solving some problems.
You
Are
know,
there candidates along the way that, if they are supportive, yes, they will be known and they'll be, we'll share their message of support. But no, we won't be making any actual endorsements until Congress acts or doesn't act.
American Union, Republicans and Democrats divide us, as you just mentioned, and American Union can unite us. A group of swing voters, nonpartisan. How about the website and how people can check it out and actually support what you guys are doing?
Yeah, so a couple ways to support it. The website again is anamericanunion.com, and you can read the legislative package and learn more about the organization. Sign up for the mailing list. Make a donation. Again, we're super PAC. So one of the things you can do to help is refuse to play the lesser of two evils game. So somebody calls you on the phone, you're taking a poll. Hey, are you going to vote for the Republican or Democrat? No, I'm going to vote for the American Union endorsement. I'm going to refuse to play this game. And as the candidates see that small percentage is the difference between winning and losing, politicians will find ways to persuade themselves that the best thing they can do is get that winning block of votes, and they will make whatever. Politicians love to win. That's why the American Union is a block of swing voters that isn't spoilers, that is deciders. And that